Hello, my name is Dr. Leroy Darks. I'm the Medical Director at the Rec Senior Health Center, and I'm also one of the Board of Directors for the Prostate Cancer Coalition of North Carolina. What I'd like to do is to demonstrate to you or to help you understand a little bit about the digital rectal examination. This is an examination that men submit to, and for the most part, most men really have no real understanding of what's going on, and not only do they have little understanding of what's going on, no way to know if it's been done adequately. And so hopefully in the next couple of minutes I'll help you understand why we do this examination, what we're looking for, and help you provide you some insight so that you will know if you have been adequately examined, and you may or may not need to discuss that with your physician or medical professional who is doing your examination. To begin, of course, it's a good place to start. Let's talk about normal anatomy. Because if you understand the anatomy, you'll understand why it is important that we do the digital rectal examination the way we do. This is a side view, and I'll orient you. This is the front of the body. This is the back of the body. Okay? And you can see this here is the bladder. The tube that drains the urine from the bladder to the outside through the penis passes right through this tissue here, and that is the prostate. Okay, you have the prostate, you have the pelvic bone in the front, fatty tissue, and you have this cavity, which is the rectum behind the prostate. So you can imagine, if we were going to examine this organ, the only way we can really get to it, to examine it, would be through the wall of the rectum. Okay? Now, let's switch down to another view, which actually demonstrates an examination of the prostate. And I'll orient you again to what you're looking at. This is the bladder on top. This is the tube that drains the urine to the outside from the bladder, and this is the prostate again. As this tube passes through the substance of the prostate gland. The difference here, they're showing a little bit of the seminal vesicles, which also contributes some of the bulk of the volume of the ejaculate, and that sits in close proximity with the prostate, and that's what they're demonstrating here with this yellow structure. So you have the prostate. Now notice your relations. Here's the pelvic bone in the front, here's the prostate, here's the rectum in the back, and here we have the examining gloved finger in the rectum, and it's examining the posterior or the back portion of the prostate. Interestingly, the only part of the prostate that we are able to examine when we do this examination, because of its location, is the posterior or the back portion of the prostate. Interestingly, again, most of the things that are dangerous and that appear in the prostate that are cancerous will begin in this portion of the gland that we actually have access to. And I find that fascinating when you really think about why are we only able to examine the part of the prostate where most of the problems begin that we would need to find. Okay? Most dangerous thing we could find on a prostate examination is a nodule. Okay, we know that half of those nodules will turn out to be cancerous, and if we find a nodule in a man who has a normal PSA, that could turn out indeed to be the most dangerous cancer that they could have, and be one of the types of cancers that might actually be fatal to a man if not detected and not adequately treated. So the digital rectal examination is an essential part of reducing the mortality from prostate cancer. Okay, so here you see, again, just so we put it in perspective, the examining finger in the rectum examining the posterior portion of the prostate. I said that the most dangerous thing we could find would be a nodule. And I said that as part of this presentation, I would leave men with an idea or a way of knowing that they have been adequately examined, because many men are aware that this finger has gone into their rectum, but very few men are actually aware when their prostate is actually being examined. How do you know when your prostate is actually being examined? Well, you can feel it. Okay? And what does it feel like? Well, the best way I could do that on a video is to make you aware that every guy, every person has their own handy model. And this is your handy model. And I'm going to show you how to use this to understand what I've just shown you on this diagram. If you start with your hand open like this, you cross the thumb over, pretty much like you do, I call it the modified Scout's pledge. You now have a pretty close approximation of what a prostate is, both size and consistency wise. This is what about the size of an adult prostate, and this is about the consistency of an adult prostate. So when we do the examination, the gloved finger goes up through the rectum and it begins to feel the prostate. We check for size, we check for shape, and we check for consistency. Size and shape can be checked with a quick swipe. Many men feel that. But consistency can only be measured or evaluated by pressing on the prostate. Now, when this is happening, just like you can feel it when I'm pressing on your hand, or you can examine your hand, that's exactly what it feels like when your prostate's being pressed on. You can feel the examining finger evaluating the consistency of that gland. I said that a nodule is the most dangerous thing we could find. Well, a nodule would feel like, if you slide the finger right up to that knuckle, that's what a nodule would feel like in the substance of the prostate tissue. So as we're pressing and checking the consistency of that gland, if we detect a nodule, which would feel like a hard mass, pretty much like this knuckle, that is considered highly suspicious until proven otherwise and warrants further evaluation.